Good morning, grinders. Welcome to RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Wednesday, April 10th. We'll be taking a look at some Major League Baseball today. We got an early slate. We got a late slate, right? I think FanDuel has it all mixed up, but DraftKings, it's a 6-game early slate, 7-game late slate. If you tune in later today, Grinders Live, Crunch Time, they'll handle the night slate, the whatever, the afternoon/night slate. But we do have a slate going on at 1:10, right? We obviously got props, pick them. We got tons of stuff regardless of the slate. And so hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Hit the notification bell to always know when I go live. To talk about MLB today, we got Will Priester, Chief Justice 06, the purveyor of the Chiefs prop shop, chopping up those props in the channel. I haven't been in the channel in a while. How's the channel been doing? We're 12 days into baseball. Things going okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. People think the sky is falling because they're not hitting as many props as they want to hit. But I tell everybody, with baseball, you guys know how this works every year. If you're only following the bat, because some people only follow the bat, which is, hey, no problems, right? I don't have any qualms with that. But don't blame the bat for your troubles. You have to understand that data has to catch up. And once you understand that the bat is going to be lower on certain pitchers to start the year, especially rookies, that's not going to be high on rookies. That's never high on rookies right away.
Right.
And then you start understanding which teams the bat favors a little bit more, even though they may not be exceptional. Then you kind of know how to handle it. But I tell everybody, baseball really doesn't start rolling with what I call the big money until about mid-May, start getting into June. That's when because now pitchers have gotten about 4 or 5 starts in. Everybody's kind of got their mojo. Bats are rolling, starting to get a little warmer. All these things work together. So all that to say, everything's been fine. I mean, we're close to one yesterday. Missed one because Aaron Savale only went 78 pitches. That one was actually a little bit perplexing, but the Rays have been really cautious with all their pitchers. And so, I mean, we had him over, I think, 15 and a half pitching outs. And at 78, we said, all right, everything else had already won Blender. We're waiting for that one to come in so everybody can start dropping the bang, GIFs, all those things. And then he didn't come back out for the 6 at 78 pitches.
Well,
that was a little disappointing.
That was fine with me, Will. I had his under 5.5 strikeouts. And I also had Mike Trout to hit a home run. So,
you got both.
I was happy.
Yeah.
I was happy. Yeah. No, I've been doing, I don't know what you're talking about. I've been doing extreme. I've been doing actually very well.
Listen. I do have access to a few single leg options. I'm not going to name any names, but
right. Your results are going to be a lot more variant than mine because in order for you to, you'll have big swings where you hit a 5 or a 6, stuff like that. Me, I'm just sitting here like, dude, if I go more than 50-50 on the day, I'm profiting. I'm getting a couple of $100 here and there, right? I'm using my promos, using my boosts. But to me, what I found, I'm gonna down. I mean, probably I'll do it at the end of the month. I've been collecting closing line data for my prop for the pitching props. Primarily the strikeout props. I probably so far on this season, I've probably made several $100s, right? And at my volume, for what, 10 days, 11 days, several $100 more, than someone I want to show at some point, if you took the same exact bets that I did, which are pretty much, I'm using Derek Hardy's bat projections. If you took the same bets that I did at close versus the time that I took them, how drastically different your ROI would be. Because, I'm regularly seeing that Like I think like for instance today, we have. Let me take a look. Let me take a look here because this is an extremely important point.
Yeah, no, it is. And let me say this while you're pulling it up, Blender.
I mean, it's very similar. It's very similar to your stuff. See, the thing is that on Prize Picks and Underdog and stuff like that you do, they just like the price doesn't change, the number changes. So you get, when you were normally gonna do like under 6.5, it turns into 6. Like it doesn't, you can't make the same quote unquote bet. But on sports books, there's no middle ground. They're never going to put up an over under 6. It's going to be, under 6.5, just with a lot of at minus 165 or something like that.
Absolutely.
So it's much harder that way. But I mean, for instance, like I'm trying to find one. While I try to find one, you make your point, Will.
Well, the thing is, I've been doing fine in my alternative investments. Bovada's been available to me, so I've done that, and Flip's been available. So those are the things that I've been able to use Blender. And of course, on those sites, I mean, listen, if you're going 5 out of 6 every day, 4, like I've been fine. It's just on the pick'em sites, you've got to get there. But like I told the prop shop, I said the sweeps are coming. One of the things I have discovered also, Blender, and this is something a good friend of mine, Chet had mentioned to us, and he was absolutely right. Baseball for pick 6 is going to be a gold mine. Blender, very, very seldom, because they've got it where you can kind of tell how many people hit the 6 for 6 now, 5 or 6, like how close they are to what their projections are. And almost every day, Blender, the 6 for 6, like people that are actually hitting it, is very low compared to what it should be, which we assumed. So once you start cranking out a couple of those, the difference is on pick 6, you can make so much more money long term because it is like a GPP. Not specifically, but essentially. What I mean is, I know people probably know what I'm saying, but on the days that 2 or 3 of us get it right, for $100, Blender, I could be in for about 10K on that day. Like no kidding. You get what I'm saying? Because the field didn't get it right. So that's like playing the 121 single entry on DraftKings. That's basically what that's like on that particular day. Now, there are other days where, most will get it right, but I haven't seen too many days, Blender, where the 6 for 6 group, where people are hitting it enough to where they're getting the standard payout. People are pretty much making way more than they should right now. And so that's something that's really something that's been great about pick 6. Same thing for golf. And I know we're not talking about golf today, but golf on pick 6, same way. If you hit a 6 for 6 with golf, your payout is going to be exponentially greater than any other site right now, at least from what I've seen. So anyway, back to your point, Blender. Hopefully I bought you enough time.
No, you bought me enough time. It's just typically I'm not tracking this type of stuff this early. Yeah. But for instance, like right now, Eric Fetty over 3.5 strikeouts. The best number in market is MGM at minus 105. FanDuel has him at minus 125. DraftKings has him at minus 110. Caesars has him at minus 123. I got Eric Fetty at plus 110 over 3.5.
Same thing. Aaron Nola last week too.
Right. Here's another one. Aaron Nola. We have as a profit. We had, according to the bat, there would be a 4% edge on the under 5.5 on FanDuel at plus 100. DraftKings has him at under 5.5 at minus 105. Caesars has him at minus 114. BetMGM has him at minus 110 for the under 5.5. I got Aaron Nola under 5.5 at plus 120. Like the difference between consider the difference in the implied probability. So if we go to, let's go to the Action Network, right? just to look at the little, I'll put this on the screen if we could put it on, right? So being like Eric Fetty, right now you could get at the over at minus 105. So that's the implied odds of 51.22. I got him at plus 110. That's 47.62. So that's like a 4% difference.
Mm-hmm.
Same bet, same exact. You can take it right now, but I'm going to make I get a 4% advantage on you if you're taking it now. If we take the Aaron Nola one, Aaron Nola at plus 100 is 50%. We all know that, right? You can see it on the screen. Yeah. Taking it at 120 is 45.4. That's 4.5%. By the time Aaron Nola's under at 5.5, may end up actually closing at, I don't know, maybe minus 110, maybe minus 115. Getting him in at plus 120 is, I mean, you're getting like an 8% like value on the closing line.
Correct.
And this is why me and you stress all the time that if you're waiting until 6 o'clock at night, or I mean, obviously now we have afternoon games today, but I mean, if you're on a normal night, like when the first game doesn't start till 6:30 or something, if you're waiting until 6 o'clock to go, okay, what should I bet on today? It's like you're already too late. I mean, like you're already too late. Like,
yeah.
Well, how did I get all these prices? Because I took them before I went to sleep last night.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went.
That's
and
baseball.
Some of these weren't posted yet. And then I was up at 7:30 in the morning, and I took all the rest of them. And from the difference between 7:30 and 11 o'clock now, could be. I mean, that could be easily 3 or 4% changes. And imagine doing that every day. Right. And you're making 50 of these a day, right? Maybe not all of them have, a lot of CLV or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that adds up over time if you were to take the same exact things as me at like 6 o'clock at night, and then by the end of the season, you're like, well, I had a, like you said, it's like, oh, I did okay. I mean, I like 1.5% ROI, right? Which is not like awful or anything. You made money. And I'm like, well, I had an 8% ROI. It's like, well, how the hell do you have an 8% ROI when I'm doing the same exact thing? It's like, yeah, getting the best number, getting the best price. Like it just compounds way over time. So that's why like signing up for RotoGrinders, getting, the bad projections, getting the RotoGrinders projections. I mean, even the RotoGrinders projections, which are great. Like we can see here in the prop model. I mean, I'm just going to show the top.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff in the MLB prop model with the RG projections, I'm already taking. Like it. Some of these are so obvious that like any decent projection system is going to show that, like, oh, like this under, this over outs, this. I mean, most of this top 20. I mean, I looked at it today. It's like I think I have out of the 20. I think I have like 17 of the 20 over, like before I even looked at it, because I already put in everything that I put in. So even if you're not playing DFS, getting the props and pick 'em package here, click that link in the description and get them as early as possible. I mean, you should be, truthfully, 11:15 in the morning is kind of late. I mean, typically at this point, I'm waiting for lineups and seeing it's like, oh, this guy's in the lineup. Oh, so this projection may change a little bit. Looking at hitter projections, going, oh, the guy that was projected to be 8th in the lineup is now leading off. Maybe I could pick off an over total bases line before it moves or something.
Right.
Like, I'm doing stuff like that now, but like most of everything should be in already. If you're waiting this long, that you're giving away so much money that you have to be even more perfect, because you're not getting these cushions that when I hit that Aaron Nola prop for $100, I'm getting $120 and you're getting $95. So like, dude, that $25 like adds up over time. Imagine doing that every 5 times a day, every day. It ends up being several $1,000 by the end.
Yeah, and I think people need to know too, like with baseball, like this is it's not a perfect science, Blender, but it's pretty close. I know this because you and I have been doing this for 3-4 years now with this. I mean, we've pretty much been on a good run with baseball, especially on the sports books. You want and the pick'em sites, and I've got a slight nuance to the pick'em sites, but that's more when you want to start catching some other advantages. But with the sports books, you want to get the lines as soon as they come out, and that means you need to have a different battle rhythm, right? Like, it's not baseball is, hey, stay up till 1 a.m, 2 a.m, let the lines drop, you hit them, you go to sleep, you wake up early, make sure you catch the other ones, and then maybe you go take it. That's baseball. Like, if you want to be successful in baseball, like this is it. Like, this is how you do it.
It's not like Will. The reason why me and you like baseball props so much, where MLB season comes around and we're like, okay, we got 6 months of goodness, is because not only have we been profitable with good projection sources versus the sports books, as well as the pick'em sites, is that MLB is very predictable from a schedule standpoint of, I know when the lines come out, I know when the markets move, I know why they move. In NBA, NBA is, to get the best edges in NBA, it's not about getting it early. It's actually about getting it late, because, 5 o'clock comes around and like, oh, well, this guy ain't playing and that guy ain't playing and this thing. And then no one has a clue who's playing for the Grizzlies today. So no one had no clue, right? That's where all the that's where the edge comes from. When the lines coming out, a lot of times the props aren't even on the board for an NBA game until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, until they even have a clue about who's playing. So you're playing a lot of that game. So people are used to waiting around and seeing what shakes up. Is Giannis going to play today? Should I take Lillard? Like, you won't know that until later. Baseball, like pitching props, really, even if Mike Trout was out of the Angels lineup, as opposed to being projected in, it probably wouldn't change the opposing pitcher's props enough that you'd be rushing to do. Like, maybe sides and totals, right? The total may come down to something, but the pitching props, and then if the hitting props, it's like, oh, well, this guy's batting third instead of batting seventh. Doesn't change that. I'm not rushing home type. It's not the type of thing this is now going to be a 37% edge. It's going to be a marginal difference. So most of the time, you could get in all your stuff just like on very specific times, on a specific schedule, get the best number, get the best price, and then get out of there.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, Blender, that I want to mention about the pick'em sites. Because once again, if you know how things work and you know how you want to approach it, you can make some decisions, right? So here's the other scenario on the pick'em sites. You have to know. This is just how they work. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you. You have to know if you want to take overs, right? When you feel like the field is on an under, those are the times that you need to wait, because you're going to get the push potential. What I'm saying is, for instance, I'm going to use Bobby Miller today as an example. And these aren't the actual numbers. I'm just throwing these out there, folks. So don't go check the sports. We're going to say, hey, Chiefs, that's not right. I know it's probably not right. So Bobby Miller, we know he comes out at 6.5 today. But you go to the sports books and you see they've got him, under 6.5 at around -150. I can almost assure you the pick'em sites are going to move him to 6. So if you want the over, there's no need to take him over at 6.5 right now, because based on, and this is years and years of me doing this now, I already know they're going to move him back to 6. So those are the times where I will wait on something, right? Like that's when I'll wait.
Assuming you're taking the over. I mean, if you're taking the under, you better get it quickly before it turns.
You better get it as soon as it hits the board, because by the time you wake up, it's already at 6, as an example. The other thing too with the pick'em sites, and they're getting more keen about this one as well, Blender. You better get the fantasy points as soon as they hit the board. Like you better, because once it comes out,
Will, to be fair, their openers have gotten much sharper.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But I'm saying, like, for instance, like I know there's a good friend of mine in the prop shop, T. Jackson. T. Jackson's really big on fantasy points. And so what typically, what T. Jackson is doing, I think T. Jackson's probably already gone to the bat. He's got it pulled up right away. And when the fantasy points drop, he goes 4 different here, 4 different, and he's plugging them in and he's hitting it and he's done. But if you're not quick on the draw like that, in baseball, and as crazy as it sounds, Blender, the difference between one fantasy point could be the difference between winning that day and losing that day. I mean, there have been tons of times where a guy comes out at 23.5, you take the over. For some reason, Blender, he finishes at 24. He bumped to 24.5 during the day, and you thought, oh, it's just one fantasy point. No, that was the difference between your 5 out of 5, 6 out of 6, and a 5 out of 6, or 4 out of 6, 4 out of 5. Like, that was the difference. So I can't stress enough in terms of correlating with what you're talking about early. You got to get on these things early, unless you have an angle that you particularly want to play and you already know that the pick'em sites are going to move it one way or the other. Same thing too, Blender, if you want to take unders, but the sites are saying over. So like if you've got a guy at 5.5 on the strikeout, and he's minus 150 on the over, but you want to take the under on the pick'em site, you know he's going to move to 6
and then take the
just
under.
wait
Right.
and then take it. So, but that stuff you got to know, and it seems simple until you realize this can really affect your money if you're not careful or more diligent about your approach. Baseball, we're telling you right now on this show, we're 22 minutes in, and we pretty much told you, giving you the formula on how to be successful in baseball, on the sports books, on the pick'em sites. You got to go out and do it. Hit the lines early on the sports books, hit the lines early on the pick'em sites, unless you want an advantage a different way. But you have to do it this way, because if not, Blender, and I know you know this, I know I'm preaching to the choir, you're missing out on funds. And as you've so eloquently spoken, just and Blender, not even closing line value. This is the difference between 1, 2 in the morning and 9 in the morning. A plus 120 could be a minus 105 by the time you wake up. Like that's a difference of 7 hours. So you got to be on top of it. And Blender, hopefully people have learned something just with us sitting here talking. I'm going to be quiet.
Right. We always have these shows. Right. We talked about it before, but I mean, for the first time for MLB season, at least.
Yeah.
Like, get the best number you can. I mean, it's not about winning the bets; it's about winning the most money, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about winning the most bets. I mean, I take RBI props that are plus 250. I know I think I have a stolen base prop that is plus 2,200 today. I think I have one that's like, dude, like that's most likely the prop should be priced at like plus 1,200, and I'm getting plus 2,200, which means if it should be priced at plus 1,200, that means it only happens once every 12 days. But they're pricing it as if it happens once every 22 days. So, and is it going to hit today? I have no idea, but all I know is that based on the projections, it's profitable, and I just keep on pumping them in, right?
Yeah.
Right. And like the amount of, like, for instance, right now, this is a light day for me, Will. Right now, very light day. Mm-hmm. I currently have 97 bets. So it's it. That probably will end up getting up to like 110, 120. But to put things into perspective, yesterday, if I just take a look, yesterday I had 131. So yesterday wasn't as typically I average around 150. So that's how much stuff. So like that's how much stuff I put in. Like I'm just spamming, putting anything with an edge, right? Just putting it all in, especially the print pitcher props, getting the best price, getting the best number, and then if I get a 5 to 10% return over the course of the season, and there you go.
Yep.
Blender, do you use the bat projections for stolen bases? Or yes, I use the bat projections for everything. For literally everything. Talking about the bat projections, we could take a look at this early slate, right? For DFS purposes, I'm not playing. You said you're playing it. I'm not, because I am playing the early DFS slate. Yes. Oh, right.
I'm
But I get up the show. I got to get more props in, right? I've to some more of the hitter prop because all the lineups will start coming out, and I'll have to get my hitter props in. Pitching wise, I mean, is it? It feels like you could play. I mean, obviously the Chords game is going to be popular, right? I mean, that is the highest total. The thing.
And let me say this, Blender. I try to fade Coors like as much as I can, and Blender, believe it or not, people think I'm crazy until they realize I've tracked this for myself. The more I fade Coors over time, the better I do in DFS. Right. Because Blender, the big games from Coors are like 1 in 20. It's not like they're every day they're scoring 15, 20. That's not how it is. Now, I'm not saying – now, the other thing about Coors, too, that contributes is pitchers are bad. So, Colorado doesn't have this extreme, boutique of ace pitchers. That's not what they have. But even still, like they faced one of the worst pitchers they were going to see the other day. I think last night they scored 3 runs. 3 runs. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to understand, like, there's a method to my madness, although people think I'm crazy for fading Coors. Like, this is why I do it, because it gets all the ownership, and it's not going to perform up to the ownership day in and day out. And that's not how it is. But story for another day. But I'm
looking right now. This is part of the bat projections. It is the stacks page, right? I mean, you can run this type of stuff in Lineup HQ and pretty much see the same thing of like what are the highest like point per dollar projected stacks, an average to anywhere from a 3 to a 5-man stack. The average amount of points, fantasy point median, ceiling point per dollar. So typically what I'm looking for is, teams that have high point per dollar value, but also high ceiling and high points. And obviously the Diamondbacks have the highest ceiling today against Austin Gomber. The Rockies against Tommy Henry, and then the Dodgers. The Dodgers actually rate out quite low from a point per dollar perspective compared to the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. But from what the bat says here, I'm kind of would be a fan in attacking good old Patrick Corbin.
Man, absolutely.
And I do not mind this, especially Patrick Corbin is one of these like the bat specials. Will you know this?
Oh yeah.
Patrick Corbin tends to be like on this slate, for instance. The bat tends to not like Bobby Miller, right? And when I mean like, it really has to do with the sample size and if he's changed anything from his long-term form.
Yeah.
The bat typically weighs longer-term form more than shorter-term stuff. So that's why you get those types of things. But typically, $6,200 Corbin at San Francisco in that ballpark. I came in going, the bat's gonna love Patrick Corbin. No, the bat hates him with a passion. So like the fact that like if I weighted it towards, well, the bat's typically likes Corbin and he projects this poorly. Maybe the Giants are good today.
Yeah. Well, listen, I love the Giants. Just so you know, Blender, in terms of in Lineup HQ, and I know we've got Sim Labs, I'm still using Lineup HQ because there's certain things I want to manipulate today. I'm going to be running San Francisco stacks in 25% of my lineups. Like that's pretty heavy. Like I usually don't get past 20, but I'm going super heavy San Francisco today. And the only problem is I may not get lineups in time. We'll see. But I'm going pretty heavy San Francisco for what it's worth against Corbin. And we'll see how today goes.
Take the picture also. How about Jordan Hicks? He's been looking good.
Yeah, I've got hold on. Let me go back. I was on my stats page there. I've got, and I haven't run any lineups yet, but I've got it to where I'm trying to get about 35-ish%. Now we've got him projected for 41%. I am going to be under, but that's because I'm trying to go way over on Bobby Miller. And that's something too, Blender. I will say I'm probably going to disagree with the bat today, only because Minnesota is just showing a propensity to just strike out against anyone. I mean, it's pretty ugly right now for that particular team, and it has nothing to do with last night. It's got everything to do with every pitcher they've seen. It's been rough. So I'm taking Miller. I'm trying to get about 50.
No. I just want to be clear, Will. Bobby Miller still Bobby Miller, even according to the bat, is the third highest projected pitcher on the slate.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
So it's not
absolutely.
Right. So it's not like Bobby Miller is bad. Like the bat doesn't like him or anything. Yeah, the bat tends to be lower on Bobby Miller. But
yeah,
from a point per dollar standpoint, he's 10-1. I get unless you're playing like the Dodgers or you're like the Phillies outfield or you're trying to play Trout in those types of lineups, I'm not sure if you need I think you could easily play Bobby Miller today.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to have any problems getting to him, but I did take over 6.5, and I think the bat was around 6.
Right. Yeah, I have the under on Bobby Miller 6.5.
Right. But once again,
it's 1 out of 97. I'm not sweating these. It's just you need this. I'll bet everything, and then I'll close my laptop and just let's see how much money comes out at the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, Blender, where I think people sometimes, if I disagree with the bat, they feel like I'm not a bat truther person. It's like, folks, it's like, wait a minute. Like, I use the bat just like everybody else. I use, play IQ just like everybody else. It's just sometimes I will disagree based on what I know, and it's not like the bat has him at 4. Like, I think the bat had him at 6.1.
No, the bat still has a 5. Yeah, the squad ride pick is look, the squad ride pick today in the Discord is Bobby Miller over 6.5 Ks.
But once again, that's because everybody knows Minnesota right now. It's like they can't hit a beach ball, and that's one of those things. Sometimes you take those, and there'll be other times, Blender, where I agree with everything the bat has. It's like, but just because I don't agree, like you said, this is one thing out of 50 things. Like, okay, like we're fine. There's no big deal.
And to be fair, Will, it's one of the outlier. It's a guy that is. His long-term sample size will show that he's not as good of a pitcher as he is currently.
Correct.
Which could end up being true, but it also could end up being not true. I mean, Cardi can't predict the future like that. But in those scenarios, we have Garrett Crochet. Like, his past minor league stats and everything should show that he's not as good of a pitcher as he's shown so far this year. The Blanco for the Astros probably isn't as good of a pitcher as he's shown this year, but maybe he is. It's just small sample sizes. So in those scenarios, it's not that the bat knows and it's infallible. It's like, no, well, based on the sample size, it's trying to project as best as it can. And it's quite possible that Bobby Miller has changed something significant enough over the past 6 months that the stuff from 2 years ago shouldn't even be it. You should just completely disregard. Cole Reagan's is another one that's very similar to that. So you're just saying, I think Bobby Miller is a much better pitcher than he was a year ago.
Yeah.
And the bat is still considering a lot of that stuff. And I'm just going to I'm going to mentally take that old stuff out and be over on Bobby Miller.
And Blended too, this is something that's because, sometimes I will get into the weeds on certain pitchers, like Aaron Nola. For whatever reason, Blended, he's a guy I get into the weeds in every year, like the first month, because he just doesn't pitch the same at the beginning of the season. Like, by the time we get to June, July, Aaron Nola's going to be like Spencer Strider. Okay, that's a stretch. But my point is, he's going to be much better. For whatever reason, the past couple of seasons at the beginning of the year, it's like he just doesn't. I don't know if he's trying to pitch more to contact. It's like he's giving up more extra base hit. It's just little things. But as long as his velocity isn't down, stuff like that, I've typically been okay to take him long term. But my point is this: the point I'm getting to. I know I went around the bush. If one of the biggest indicators of a pitcher possibly having short term success is if they added a new pitch. So if, like for instance, they add in a sweeper. Like the sweeper kind of became this new pitch that everybody started adding in. They added a sweeper and suddenly their strikeouts are coming out. Well, that's why, right? Like they add, and then you have to say, okay, short term they're probably going to be better. Long term, we don't know, but they're probably going to still end up somewhere around where they were, unless I mean they've really gotten better with control, so forth and so on. And a lot of times younger guys are who we look to get better, Blender. So like for instance, a guy like Scherzer, we're going to look for him to get worse as he gets older. As an example, he's probably a guy that starts pitching more to contact. Verlander at some point is going to pitch more because they're getting older. They don't have the same moxie. They can't blow it by. But the younger guys, they add a pitch, they get a little better control, and then suddenly a guy like Bobby Miller could turn into an Aaron Nola for the next couple of years, as an example. But that's digging into that's getting into the weeds. But that's something the bat won't account for until it gets more data and says, oh, well, this pitch is in. He's been pitching well long term, and then it will stabilize.
So pitching, so for DFS purposes,
yeah,
you're looking more at Bobby Miller, Jordan Hicks types of lineups. I mean, you got Kikuchi there. Lance Lynn, the bat loves today against Philadelphia. But I mean, is Lance Lynn bat? I mean, we have him at. I mean, the bat has him at a 98 pitch count, which I mean, truthfully, Lance Lynn historically
has always had a long leash.
Always had a long leash.
Yeah.
The question is he? I mean, 98 would be fine if this was like May. But I mean, it's possible he doesn't. It's possibly if he gets into trouble and he walks a bunch of people, maybe he doesn't go. But I mean, it's 7,900. I mean, I don't mind that, but I just want to be clear that the 98 pitch count is maybe from a median standpoint a little high. I'd kind of maybe bump that down to 92 or something, right? Like that, right? Which still, I mean, it's still at 7,900. Still projects perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd much rather. To me, I feel much more comfortable playing Lance Lynn than Kikuchi. Kikuchi's
absolutely.
Yes.
I will agree with you 100%. I will say this: the projections aren't as good on him today, but I am going overweight on him. But this is more so for tournaments.
That's all I care about. Who plays cash games anymore?
Well, yeah. I'm going to be way overweight on Logan Gilbert.
You're overweight on all the guys that I have their unders. What's up with that? Logan Gilbert, I have like every under in the board or something.
Yeah, I'm way overweight on Logan Gilbert because Blender, historically, he's been a guy that can eat through innings. And so if for some reason, he gets a couple quick innings, he's going 7. Like that's really what it is. So getting that extra inning out of him, the ability for him to pick up 5 or 6 strikeouts and kind of get through clean, that's really what it is. But once again, by overweight, Blender, he's not going to be somebody that's overowned. So I'm talking about like I'm probably going to get about 20%, and I'm going to be way over the field. So not like 40, 50. I'm it's just one of those plays where I end up with some Miller Gilbert lineups. And I probably have something very unique because I don't think people are going to see that today. So I haven't spit it out yet, but if I have anything that consists of Miller Gilbert, I'm probably going to end up with like San Francisco, a full San Francisco stat because they're not.
So what else do you like? What else are you playing stack wise? I mean, you're a fundamental, like you're probably going to be lower on the Coors game. Does that mean that you're going to be playing? You'll spend up for the dot. I mean, you can't play Gilbert and Miller at 10,000 and play the Dodgers.
Not in every
where
line.
Where are you going?
So as of right now, I'm going to be heaviest on the Dodgers and San Francisco in terms of those two. Like those are my primary two. I mean, like where I'm going to be.
Yeah, but what pitcher? How are you playing Miller? How are you playing 2 10K pitchers with the Dodgers?
No. I'm running 150 lineups. So
okay. So you're gonna pair up the 10K pitchers with some of the cheaper, with the Lynn, with the Kikuchi, with the Hicks. You'll be able to afford that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm running 150 lineups, but and I'll have some lineups that probably just have Hicks and Lynn. And that's really where I'll probably get most of my Dodgers exposure. But I'm heavy Dodgers, heavy San Francisco today. And then I'm also going to play a little bit of Tampa Bay, a little bit of Tampa Bay. And I am going to play some Arizona today because Austin Gomber is just not good. Like and once again, but it's a much smaller slate. If we're on an 11-game slate right now, I probably don't play Arizona. But this slate is it's kind of too small for me to avoid the Diamondbacks. If they score 8 runs on this slate, they might very well be optimal, and I'm dead. So I have to kind of play them today. And then I'll also have some Colorado. As bad as that lineup is, I don't trust Tommy Henry as far as I can throw him.
Alan asked Soriano to load up the bats on DK.
I don't think he's going to go that long.
Right. That my problem is that he's 4,400, but I don't see him pitching more than 3 innings.
Yeah, maybe 3. I don't see him more than 3. That's my only concern. If I thought he was going 5 innings, Blender, I'd absolutely play
sure.
him.
Yeah, but I mean, from I think he's fine in smaller field contests, like where if he got you 12 points, like you could win with an expensive stack or something like that. But from a ceiling perspective, I mean, just all these other pitchers have opportunities to score 30 points, 25, 30 points. Soriano doesn't. So it's so that's why I think his median projection makes him fine, right? But the smaller the field of the contest, the more that you don't need like 2 25-point pitchers, right? You get away with it. So I'd consider Soriano more of a small field contest. That's nothing to do with single entry 3 match. Just decide if you're playing a 500-person field or whatever, like I think that's fine. But I think in the main GPP, I don't know. He has to be perfect in order to even get like 15 points or something. So that's that the pitch count just precludes the pitcher from getting that much of a steal. Or hey, the opposite side could be if you believe that everyone else gets killed. If you believe today is the day of offense and no pitcher does well, and the highest scoring pitcher is only 18 points or something, then Soriano's fine. If that's your take, that Bobby Miller gets hit up and Hicks gets hit up and Nola and there's not going to be a 25-point pitcher, then I think Soriano would be fine.
And Blender, I'm playing way more stacks way more pitchers on a small slate than I usually play. Like I keep my pitcher pool pretty tight. But I think a couple of these guys could actually get there today. So that's why I'm kind of in on some of these pitchers.
Let's get it out. People like these, right? Because the people like Grant. You have any home run bets today? I know you're on Prize Picks and Underdog, so it's you rarely do those home runs, right?
Yeah, I would say, despite the fact that he's been terrible, I'm not sure where Julio Rodriguez is, but I would for sure take him against Kikuchi today. I know in the season it looks like this team is struggling, but I mean, listen, man, they haven't seen many lefties. I would assume Julio's somewhere around plus 350 if I had to guess right off the top of my head.
No, I think he's high. I think he's high. I think he's higher than that. I mean, I can check. Let's see. I mean, I can just check on
Julio, Jorge Soler, and Matt Chapman would be 2, but they're probably going to be much lower odds because they're facing Corbin and everybody. So.
I got a giant home run. Like this is what I got for the early slate. This is what I have, and when I say this is what I have, this is what the bat has. Okay, so it has nothing to do with me. So I got Vlad Guerrero.
Okay.
At plus 475. George Springer at plus 600 for the Blue Jays.
Oh, Springer at plus 600 is really good. That's really good.
Then Brendan Rodgers.
From Colorado.
Plus 900.
That's fantastic, Blender.
And then Wilmer Flores plus 600.
Yeah. Flores is a good one. Historically, has hit lefties really well, so that's a really good one as well. Yeah.
This assumes that he's batting second. So just right. We don't have the Giants lineups out. I mean, it's same for the Brendan Rodgers. Like this assumes he's batting. I mean, even if he bats eighth, it doesn't matter. This assumes he's projected batting the seventh. So Brendan Rodgers actually moves up in the order. That becomes an even that number of plus 900 will probably move down to 850, 800, 750 at some point if he gets a higher slot in the batting order. So that's what I got.
Understood.
And remember, at plus 900, it's not like I'm not predicting Brendan Rodgers to hit a home run today. Just that the bat says that in this scenario, he hits a home run like once every 6.5 days. And they're pricing it as if he hits it once in every 9 days. So it's not a matter of like if he doesn't hit a home run today, well, how many home runs does Brendan Rodgers hit? He doesn't hit that many home runs. Just the price is good today on that, that it's profitable long term. You're not going to hit all of your home run props. You never, dude. If you hit a lot of time, if you hit 20% of your home run props, you're wildly profitable.
Yeah,
wildly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I am good to go. I mean, I enjoyed the show today. I know we kind of talked through, how to approach MLB props and a little bit of strategy, but that's really what's important, Blender. Like you need to know how to make money long term, and hopefully people got something out of it. And super
at least
excited
there's no weather concerns in this early slate. I mean, God, the late slate, tonight's slate is there may be 2 postponements anyway, so it may not even matter. But yeah, you got some of this East Coast stuff. Yeah, Roth is going to be busy if they don't postpone. If they don't PPD the Cincinnati or the Atlanta game, Roth is. There may be a lot of angry people tonight when Roth says, "Well, I think this," and then who knows what happens, right? They play through rain, or it's not raining at all, and they don't get the game in or something. So tune into that later today. We got Grinders Live. We got Crunch Time. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. We got tons of stuff going on today. We got basketball also. Will, you got a whole bunch of you have articles and content. I know you do the owner's box stuff. What else do you got going on this week, content wise?
Owner's box. I mean, I'll be on Crunch Time for baseball over the weekend. And I'll probably be on a couple of Grinders Live shows. But Owner's Box, we've officially switched over to baseball now, which is fantastic. So no more NBA for Owner's Box. And then I do write an article that's outside of RG, that's for basketball every day, called The Best of Both Worlds. It just covers tournament targets, covers props, stuff like that. So that I do have that article that I write every day for NBA, Best of Both Worlds. You can find it on Twitter. But yeah, man, it's that's pretty much all my content for the week. Oh, and I think we are going to have a this week. I think we're recording it on Friday. This probably be fun for folks. We are going to have a food for thought pod to cover the NFL, all these big trades. Looking forward to the draft, stuff like that. So that'll be coming out this week. Myself and Justin Carlucci.
Right, and you could join the Chief and Chief's prop shop in our Discord, which is free. You can get in there for nothing, right? RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Join us there. Tomorrow, RotoGrinders Today won't exist. It'll be Grinders Live. We got the main slate is early tomorrow. So Dean will have to wake up early, and I'll be on with Dean to talk about tomorrow's early slate. And then Friday, Squirrel Patrol will be on. We got UFC 300, one of the biggest cards of all time, right? The amount of fights that a lot of the fights on this card could all headline at least a fight night, if not a pay-per-view. We got 3 5-round fights. We got championship fights. We got big contests in the DraftKings lobby. So come back on Friday when we preview that and sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. You get access to everything that we offer here, all the tools, all the stats, all the content, all the everything. Click on that link in the description. We're running a deal right now, 6 months, combo premium, $250 off. So that won't last long. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. I'll be back on Friday, but I'll still be back tomorrow just on Grinders Live. But I'm always here, 11 o'clock in the morning, talking all things you're thinking about. In daily fantasy, props, and pick'em. On RotoGrinders Today.